Of course, we had to do it again. It seems like it's a weekly occurrence. You're going to get yourself the CK&J show here on the Sooner or Later Sports Show, a Hog Media production presented by Sleeper. I'm your host, Jay. Thanks for pulling up here on the YouTube channel and listening wherever podcasts are downloaded and listened to while you're here. Please wipe your feet and like, subscribe, rate, review, give us 5 stars. I don't think we deserve it. Go ahead and give us 5 anyway and gift it. So on today's episode, you're going to get a great showing of Talking Ball with myself and Colin Kennedy. We're going to dive into the craziness with the analysts and why everybody keeps taking shots at Oklahoma. How we feel after the LSU game and the way that Oklahoma has performed this season. And then we're going to run down all of the recruits from the 2026 class. Well, not all of them, but we're going to tell you who jumped out to us, who we're most excited about, and if the Sooners are actually done. So with that, shout out to our partners over there at Sleeper. If you haven't checked them out for daily fantasy ball, you're missing out. Use our promo code UNFAIR, and they're going to match your first deposit at 100% up to $100. Terms and conditions apply. See Sleeper's terms of use for details. And with that, let's jump in and talk to our guy CK. Welcome back, everybody, for another episode of the CK&J show. You got Colin Kennedy over here, as usual, and you got me, Jay. CK, man, happy, this will be coming out Friday, so happy Friday. It's been a full week since we've talked about all the craziness in Oklahoma. Have you rested since signing day has been quote unquote complete?
No, I have not rested. Luckily, though, it was a relatively dramaless signing day for Oklahoma. So just doing a lot of busy work on Wednesday and into the rest of the week. But yeah, I look forward to this weekend, watching some football and kicking my feet up on the couch a little bit. Those are my plans in the next few days.
Yeah, we have like no quote unquote vested interest this weekend. As of right now, Oklahoma, things lay out the way they are. Oklahoma, as the number 8 seed, will be hosting a game, and we just got to figure out who. If there's shakeups,
there is vested interest. I mean, the SEC title game outcome directly impacts whether or not they might host.
That's true.
For one.
That is true.
If Texas Tech does lose, then, hey, man, anything goes at that point. But the thing you really don't want to happen is Alabama wins and BYU wins on the same day, and then it's anybody's guess what this looks like. So
that's a fair point because the committee has shown zero consistency in what they're trying to do out there. And, I mean, I get you know what? Let's jump into that first. I kind of want to talk about how the Fox contingency has gotten all the same talking points to where the attacks on Oklahoma should happen. The glazing of Miami and Notre Dame in that battle has really gone on. And CK, I don't understand this, man. It's Oklahoma's 2 losses are guys in the top 25, even though the time we lost to Texas, they were unranked, but you still got ranked losses. Texas at 14 and then Ole Miss at 6 for however long they're going to be there. Lane Kiffin bolts. There's with them having no quote unquote staff, there's a possibility they may get bamboozled, hoodwinked, and led astray, run amok, and flat out deceived by this committee. I don't understand this. So let's talk about it. We're 8th right now, and like you said, this weekend things could really shake things up. I don't see a path where Oklahoma drops lower than 8. But I could be wrong.
Yeah.
But I want to know, you think there's a path where Miami jumps Notre Dame since they have the head-to-head?
Well, I'm going to be honest with you. I don't even know if head-to-head matters anymore in our sport, which is really fun and flirty for the landscape of college football.
Fair point.
I believe it was Bill Connolly who tweeted it out earlier on Thursday that the committee keeping Miami below Notre Dame this entire time, only to potentially flip that at the last minute because maybe a team that they both played wins or loses during conference championship weekend. If that happens, tear it all down. That being said, would I love to see it because then that would lead to that type of chaos? I'm not going to say no. So I think I'll say this. There are three things, in my opinion, that are so fascinating going into this weekend. Number one is the whole head-to-head stuff with Texas and all that. Number two is head-to-head. So you've got non-conference games, head-to-head games, and then this weekend coming up is, do conference championship games matter from a positive or negative perspective? Like, if you're playing the extra game, what does that do for you in the rankings, whether you're going up or down? Because I think we're getting ready to potentially set a precedent coming out this weekend. If you go play those games and you do drop below teams that did not play the extra game, then why would you play?
Yeah.
I mean, and like that could happen. In fact, it would probably need to happen for Oklahoma to draw Notre Dame at home in Norman, because Alabama would need to drop, even though Alabama's playing an extra game.
Yep.
So, and then like with the conference championship stuff, how do you then factor that into other people in the rankings? Because if you're Oklahoma, the very surface level thing that we're all monitoring is, if Alabama beats Georgia again, well, then Oklahoma is suddenly in jeopardy of hosting a playoff game or potentially having to go on the road, the way things shake out. But at the same time, if Alabama wins that game, well, Oklahoma now has a road win over the SEC champ. So do you go up? Do they jump like A&M or Ole Miss? Or I don't know. I don't know the answer to these questions.
True.
All of that and more is coming up this weekend with the final rankings. I think it is crazy we don't know the answers to a lot of this stuff going into arguably one of the biggest weekends in recent memory.
And they promised us that strength of schedule was really going to be a critical component inside of how they do the rankings and stuff, but we're not seeing it as much as I guess as we hoped, because it doesn't feel like they're using it that much in some spaces. Like, I get why BYU is down, because strength of schedule doesn't help them. They didn't have the strongest schedule. They got blown out by Tech on the road. They're 11-1, so everybody's like, why aren't they up the top with all the other 11-1s? Well, they were never up there, so it's kind of hard to be up there if you were never truly quote unquote up there. I don't know what they're gonna do about like A&M, who's got the Notre Dame win. It's kind of it, right? Like it's gonna be weird. Like you said, I think the thing that disappoints me the most is that we really don't have an understanding of how they're going to do this. Like, they got Oklahoma ahead of Bama because of the head-to-head, respectfully. Georgia is, only got, one up there at the top, one loss, so that's where they're supposed to be. They lose a second time to Alabama. Then do they drop them underneath Bama and give Bama the bye week? But at that point, do you put Georgia ahead of Oklahoma, who has the road win against Alabama that Georgia has lost to twice? Do you punish Alabama if they lose and drop them out, which means, as you mentioned before, what's the point of playing the game if I'm going to see a punishment?
Yeah.
There's so much here. Ugh. I
don't know. And it's dangerous because, like you mentioned, the thought process is, okay, well, if you play it like Alabama wins, did they get the bye? Did they jump into the top four? Well, how far do you drop Georgia? Especially considering you would then have to factor in they would be dropping with teams that are not playing in the realm of the drop.
Yeah.
And then if you slide all that down, but then you bump up Alabama, well, Oklahoma beat Alabama. So shouldn't they go up? But then also they might go down because, like, Georgia, it's a whole thing.
Yep.
And look, this is the other thing too that we know, right? The committee has its own strength of record metric that is not, I guess, on the same level or the same algorithm as the one we publicly see. So we're never really truly going to know how they view these records, which I find incredibly frustrating. That said, it's like, you brought it up, Texas A&M. I think Texas A&M is a hell of a football team. I actually believe that, we did our podcast. Josh Callaway brought it up. It feels like the two most likely scenarios at this time, most likely, let me emphasize, for Oklahoma would be host a playoff game, potentially against Alabama or I don't even know. Again, you would think they're hosting. Or maybe Oklahoma's going on the road to Texas A&M because of the way things would fall.
Mm-hmm.
But you brought this up, and it's like, okay, A&M's wins. They beat Notre Dame by 1 in South Bend. Good win. They beat LSU, who was ranked at the time, if I remember correctly, and now is obviously collapsed. And then they beat Mizzou. Good football team. But it's like, lose to Texas. So in theory, you have wins over, at the time, ranked Mizzou, LSU, and Notre Dame. All on the road. But do you factor that in through that lens or the current lens with Notre Dame, a fringe playoff team, and then LSU having collapsed? And you're going to be leaving Texas out. And that's not an A&M specific thing. That's a sport in general thing, because it
is.
I think that they're going to have to determine whether or not they value ranked wins at the time or wins through the current lens of the landscape. And it's like, because they have their own record or measurement, I have no idea what they think the answer to that question is.
Yeah, it throws us all off on all of that, because you're right. And this goes back to me and my quote unquote old man yelling at the clouds thing of, I don't like rankings before week 4. We shouldn't have any type of rankings before week 4, but we have to have rankings before week 4 because we need to get that content out there and get that money.
Yep.
So we ain't got much of a choice. We're going to have to just suffer with it, because in a lot of those situations, those metrics are still used in favor. Like the Penn State wins when they were, top 5 still count for people. Texas losing as a top 5, top 10 team still counts on the metric. So we would like for them not to, but they count. So it's not something we can really go with. But the talking points that are being leveraged by these hosts to push the Miami narrative, and I mean, the Bear, he's losing his mind. Like, he's been crashing out on X like the last 3 days. It's kind of the funniest thing I think I've seen in a while, of how hard he's crashing out about Miami, which in a way I kind of agree. They beat Notre Dame, while at the same time, both of their losses are to teams that were unranked at the time, which leads back to teams should not be ranked until week 4. So, but I want to talk about this LSU game now. I think that's, shout out to our partners here at Sleeper. They got some great options out there for daily fantasy ball, and Sleeper is one of the best in the industry. The cool thing is they're not just year-long fantasy. They've moved into the daily fantasy world, and if you want to jump in and check them out, use our promo code unfair, and they're going to match your first deposit at 100% up to $100. Plus, they're going to give you $20 just for checking them out. No need for a deposit for all of our new users. All you got to do is check them out. And so when you're in there, they've got all kinds of cool ways to get you really going in the game. You can look at live stats so you can see what's going on with your players that maybe you're playing in year-long fantasy or just on the daily side. You also have a chat where you can interact with other users. You can talk smack about, the best performances and the best plays all in one place. And it's very easy to use. You pick 2 or more players, pick more or less on the stats. If they have some great promos, you can get additional boost. They have all of that stuff going at all times. So check them out. Use our promo code UNFAIR. They're going to match your first deposit at 100% up to $100. Plus, if you just want to check them out, they're going to give you $20 just for signing up. Terms and conditions apply. See Sleeper's terms of use for details. And back to the video. Worth a lot of our time. Thank you all for pulling up. Please hit the like button if you're new to the channel. Subscribe, rate, review, give us 5 stars. Check out Colin Kennedy over there at 247s at Sooners Illustrated. make sure you subscribe. They've got a great Christmas promotion going on. I know it's great because I've seen it. Colin, we beat LSU in a very ugly 17-13 victory to wrap up a season that has produced one of Oklahoma's best defenses in the modern history. Statistically, they're damn good. They're one of three. I think they're the second highest rated defense in points allowed in a season, right behind that 2021 Georgia squad. So like right behind them, number 2 is Oklahoma at how many points they gave up this season, which is 100 and what's that, 67? That is second best in, I think, SEC history. How do you I guess it's hard to even know how to really ask this question, but because we kind of expected as the season progressed, but did you really think Brent Venables was going to do it this way? Let's put it that way.
I mean, the simple way to put it would be that I thought they were going to have a solid year and go 8-4, and then I had them going 9-4 with a bowl game win because I thought that this was going to be a really good football team that faced a schedule of all schedules.
Yep.
Right. And that has still largely rung true. But that's the thing is it's like, I find it a little bit comical that people are dismissing their wins. Like, you can't have your cake and eat it when you hype this up as one of the most difficult schedules in all of college football. And then when a program navigates it, it's like, oh, well, it's like, well, I think there are a lot of lazy takes, and I am not one who I stay out of the drama. I keep to myself. I'm not a very social media forward writer because, it is what it is. People choose to stir the pot in their own separate ways. But for me, it's like, I think that I personally thought this was going to be a good season for Oklahoma. And because it has exceeded my expectations that I thought were fair, I give them a ton of credit for that.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, everyone else has chosen to go against the grain with that line of thinking. And I struggle with that dynamic. I struggle to comprehend it. I struggle to see why that's feasible or justifiable. I understand that people have their perceptions of the on-field product or the eye test. I get that.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's like, I guess my thing is, it is crazy to me that people in this industry can so easily switch back and forth from the resume talk versus the on-field talk. And that's wildly confusing. Like, you're going to talk about one team specifically by way of resume, and you're going to talk about another team only because of what you perceive them to be on the field. That lack of consistency for me is mind-numbing sometimes.
Yeah, it throws me off as well that Oklahoma, and I did a video on this the other day. Colin Cowherd was talking to Josh Pate about a week or so ago, and I'm surprised it actually slipped under the cracks for me. So I usually keep up with Colin just because I love disagreeing with him. But he said he was wrong about Oklahoma, and the way they're playing this year, even with the struggles on offense, they look like an SEC team, as this is the way SEC teams typically win. I mean, I said it before, Auburn in 30 years have only had 2 quarterbacks or 2 seasons where they threw over 3,000 yards. Only 2 quarterbacks did that in 30 years. That is a long time for a team to only have 2 3,000-yard passers, where other teams in the conference have done that numerous times. You would think you would see that more in this conference, but no, the defenses are so good. And so building this defense to really reflect the Brent Venables personality, the one that comes from Clemson, the early Brent Venables ones at Oklahoma, and then the Clemson version of him, the evolved version, you're seeing that he has evolved more and more as he's become a coach. And like you, like my floor was 10-2. And I said that specifically because I didn't think the schedule was going to be as tough. And I thought that a lot of the quarterbacks were inflated a lot more than they should have been. Turned out to be right in a way. The only team I wasn't right about was Ole Miss. Because, with Simmons, I was like, it's going to take some time for him to really get going, blah, blah, blah. Well, he gets hurt. Even though he threw like 2 or 3 interceptions in the first game. He gets hurt. Trinidad Chambliss comes in here that no one's heard of. And the dude's a stud. So it's like, well, shoot, Lane Kiffin, you're just really good at your job of finding quarterbacks who's not afraid to throw the ball. Shout out to you. I wish we could find one of those ourselves. Just give me a quarterback that's willing to just chunk it. Mateer has his tendencies. We'll talk about him in a minute. But I didn't think that all of these players, I thought that South Carolina was going to fall off. They did exactly what I thought, mainly because they didn't have Rocket Sanders no more. Who's going to run the ball? Who's their top wide receiver? I mean, I keep hearing about Nick Harbor, and I love talking about Nick Harbor, but I ain't seen the Nick Harbor that I keep hearing that Nick Harbor exists. Yeah. You get an occasional chunk it deep and get your 80-yarder. That's probably the only catch of the game. Maybe a second one. But it's like he hasn't shown that he's that number one dude in possession on top of his speed. So I'm more so just so impressed that the defense really just took on his personality, and the fact that staff has got everybody clicking on high cylinders. Yeah. Like, if you were to pick a staffer on defense, who's impressed you the most going into this season?
I mean, Chavison Bates, right? I mean, the defensive line group, it has to be. I mean, the defensive line is winning them football games.
Yeah, 100%.
So that
Clemson, I like Clemson right there.
Yeah, like when that group was brought over, the entire vision was to build defensive lines and defenses similar to the days at Clemson. And those were units that, I mean, the entire Clemson football team was known at points for having the best defensive line in football, right?
Yep.
I think you have to. I think that's kind of where it starts for me. Is it's like, I guess I thought that this season, I knew the defense was going to be good. I thought the offense, honestly, was going to be a lot. I thought the offense was going to exceed expectations, but I questioned what the offensive line was going to look like with so many young pieces. I guess what I didn't factor in enough too is it's like they have the best defensive line in college football, and the amount of SEC offensive lines they have faced that are simply not prepared to go up against that defensive front. I don't know that I took that into enough consideration because, I thought they would start out 5-0. I had them going unbeaten right out of the gate. And then I thought they were going to snag 3 games of like South Carolina, Tennessee, Texas, LSU, like that kind of group. I thought they were going to go on the road and lose to Alabama. Like, I don't think that was a hot take at the time, considering what had happened in the past and what Alabama looked like. But man, like, that's kind of my point is it's like when they went through, like, South Carolina was overwhelmed on the line of scrimmage. Tennessee was overwhelmed at the line of scrimmage. Alabama was overwhelmed at the line of scrimmage. And I guess that was the thing for me is I looked at these teams and it wasn't me picking against Oklahoma. It was like, man, I just think the world of all of these teams in the SEC. I thought they were all going to be playoff caliber squads. I did not anticipate these offensive lines in the league being that ill prepared to face the caliber of defensive line play at Oklahoma specifically. And it has willed them towards the postseason.
It has. They are the ones that have controlled the destiny for Oklahoma. And I get and understand everybody wants the offense to heavily contribute and be this, that, and the other. I so get it. Like, I don't even push back on everybody's mindset of I want Oklahoma to be able to blow teams out and shut the other team down at the same time. Yeah. I agree. I think at some point we'll get there. But just the fact that the defense is winning all of these games, to me says this team is probably built ready to go for the playoffs.
Yeah.
So like I put together, buddy of mine started this and I kind of added to it BV's career defensive ratings and some of the top efficiency numbers. Got the ESPN's defensive efficiency rating, which is from their Football Power Index guy. The SP Plus, Bill Connelly's number. College Football References, DSRS, which is the defensive simple rating system they have. The Football Efficiency Index defensive rating, as well as Warren Sharp's Sharp D score. These are what the ratings: defensive efficiency 4, DSRS 4, SP plus 3, FEI defense 4, D score 5, averaging about 3.67. This lines up with Clemson 2021, which had an average of 3. That is bananas. And he did it even at a faster pace than he did at Clemson, because at Clemson, year one, the average of those 5 numbers I gave you, year one at Clemson in 2012 was about 51. Year 2 went to 18. Year 3 was 9. 4 was 12. 5 was 8. And then you start to see 1.5, where he's just literally the best defenses ever. Here, he went from 59 the first year, 28 average the second year, 18 the third year, to now 3. That's a freaking enormous drop, CK. Yeah. He put together a borderline historically great defense in his second year in the SEC. And that, to me, told me right there, if he could put together a good defense like this, he's built to be an SEC coach. And I think now he has proven that and has shut a lot of people up.
Yes. So this is the other thing that I think we should probably talk about. It is the offense. So this is my stance currently. And you talked about like the national narrative and things that people are saying, and I get it. I've mentioned this here on the show before. I've said it in other places, but like I really want to hammer this home. And it's like, I understand that it is very easy to look at what's going on Saturdays and say Oklahoma's offense is bad or whatever. I get that. I'm not going to do that. Why? Because, and you know this as well as anybody, the idea that like Oklahoma doesn't have an identity, to me, is fraudulent. To me, that tells me that you're not watching and following along. And why I say that is, simply put, we know this team wants to run the football and play defense. That's the winning recipe that they showed against Tennessee. They don't have a running back that's healthy right now that they rely on.
That they can trust, right?
They don't have that, man. And like everyone, I know everyone can say the offense has struggled, and I agree with you. That has happened. They would tell you that. With this idea that like they have no identity, or that, you know, they don't know what they're doing, or they won't run the ball enough. And it's like, no, Tori Bllaylock is playing football games at times without a shoulder.
I'm watching him do this, run into the sideline.
Xavier Robinson played a game on a sprained knee. I don't know how many of us in our daily lives, let alone playing running back, would be all that effective on a sprained knee. Like,
that's a fair point.
They're just they know what they want to do. They can't do it. That's what no one's talking about, is they physically are unable to do what they would like to do on the offensive side of the ball. And so I get frustrated with this narrative that like the offense is terrible. No, the offense they don't have the luxury of doing what they would prefer to do in game. And they're right. Really just trying to survive the last couple of weeks on the heels of an elite defense and special teams group. And hey, it worked. That said, do not be surprised if they do get healthy. And to your point, being built for the playoff, if there's a world where guys like Xavier Robinson and Tori Bllaylock get 3 weeks of rest and come back relatively full strength and all of a sudden this team gets to run the football, play defense, and lean on special teams. You saw what can happen when they can win the field position battle, when they can play elite defense, and they can lean on the run game and let that young offensive line and those talented backs go out and make football plays. Don't be surprised if an entire month of talking heads saying the offense sucks suddenly gets turned around because all of a sudden they have a running back whose health bar isn't in the red. That's just my opinion on it.
The offense's field position start was 13th in the country before the LSU game, and I think it's actually gotten better. Defensive field position start was ranked number 1 in the country. We basically, the way that they were sitting on the field positioning itself was just great.
Mm-hmm.
And we've taken advantage of that in every play. So, like, let me see. Offensive dropped to 17. Defensive rank is still top.
But why did they drop over the last couple weeks? Oh, maybe because, I don't know, couldn't run the damn ball.
Right. That's exactly it. And it's okay that happens, but that's the crazy part is they're just that good. Non-garbage time, they put the ball in some of the best spots. Yeah. Overall, they're 8th in the country in total field positioning and location metrics. They, like you said, we lean in on defense, special teams, and burning the clock with a run game. Now, the big thing is, now that John Mateer has 2 to 3 weeks to truly rest, go through treatments, does that mean that he's going to magically see the field? Probably not. But I bet he's going to be damn better now than he was before.
You'd hope.
Because he'll have time. He'll be working with those wide receivers, and everything on his body is no longer going to be in the red meter like in college football. His wear and tear will drop. It'll probably go at least a lot of spots green with a couple of yellows, which is exactly what you want after that. Of course, the competition will have similar for them, but Oklahoma's more dangerous than everybody else because just the defense is just that darn good, just that darn stout. So
that for me is kind of where it's like, it ain't about the run game or like the lack thereof or, they're not calling enough. It's like, no, they can't. That's the other thing though, for me is it's like, I don't want it to seem like I'm saying they have a good offense or whatever. You know what I mean? Like I'm sunshine pumping. The very simple nature of it is like they don't have a healthy running back. They tried to make it work, and they have a quarterback right now who, on the other hand, has got to play better. He has got to play better.
And I think he will. Will. I warned everybody. Y'all going to hear me say this over and over. I warned y'all. Dude's going to turn the ball over. That's literally his game. His game is slinging it into tight spots sometimes where you're like, dog, don't do that. But then he'll complete it and you'll be like, hey, yeah. You'll be excited about it. Because it was funny to me, CK. I'm at the game, and 2 things that I have asked about this entire season in my head actually came to fruition in the same game. Still the wildest thing to me. 1, asked often, how come we can't get busted plays? How come we can't confuse defenses where dudes just run wide open and score? You get the Deion Burks screenplay where it's cover 0 and there's just nobody there even thinking about it. And John throws a sidearm that we freak out about that was perfect to keep the pass from being knocked down. Because that's how you stop a screen pass like that is whenever they want to throw it, you jump in the air and you knock it down. Couldn't do it because he throws it sidearm perfectly. Burks bolts. Then you have the 4 verts that they were initially going for and realize where the defense was set, and Satani is only one that goes deep because the safety goes the opposite direction. And guess what? Sitting there just, hey guys. And John sees it. He knew it was coming. As soon as he hiked it, he saw it. He waited. He looked off that safety and then he lobbed it. You're like, yes. The other one was, I've noticed this. that other teams use the refs as screeners for them across the middle. I have wondered why so many people were open across the middle on us so often, and it was always them running the route that got close to the ref and we trying to go around them, and they end up open. Mm-hmm. We did that. Giovanni dropped it. But hit him dead smack. It's like, but I had wondered why we couldn't get some of the. Why can't we have nice things, CK? That was what I was wondering. Why can't we have nice things like that? And we got it. Which, of course, impresses me the most that at some point this is going to pop. At some point we're going to have we've had a few 100-yard games rushing where everything clicked on all cylinders. We'll have more of that. We should see that in the playoffs. Personally, I expect it. But I'm just happy to see that we finished the season 10-2 in a year where everyone really thought that there was no way. Hell, I remember seeing Paul Feinbaum over there say that if Oklahoma can finish 9-3, they should be in the conversation for the playoffs if they win one of the big road games. Just because. Now, like you said, all we're hearing is, well, Oklahoma's 10-2. They shouldn't be in there. We won on the road at Neyland and in freaking Tuscaloosa. 4-0 on the road. And LSU's not even a bad defense. That's the funny part. They got like the best corner in the country.
They got dudes.
They got athletes all over the place. Now, they may not be organized, but they got dudes on that defense. That's why Blake Baker is trying to be poached by everybody to go work for him. They got dudes, and they ball out. So we close out the W. I'm happy about that. Season's done. I'll do probably after college, after conference championship weekend, the, awards and give out who performed what or whatnot. So let's talk about, I kind of want to talk about the class though. We'll get back to the video, but first, shout out to our partners over here at Sleeper. If you haven't checked them out for Daily Fantasy Ball, again, you are missing out. They're the presenting sponsor of the channel, and they're going to hook you up by being one of our viewers. Use our promo code UNFAIR, and they're going to match your first deposit at 100% up to $100. Plus, if you just want to give them a shot, they're going to give you $20 just for signing up. So let's make a couple of picks here for the weekend. On the picks options you have here, of course, they've always got some great promos and everything, but let's go look at here for the NFL coming up this weekend. So, of course, Seattle versus Atlanta. Let's see if they got anything good for Tampa Bay. We do. Tampa Bay playing against New Orleans, so got to do some Buccaneers picks. And so, in this one, you can look at, you got, of course, you get some basketball that'll come in for Friday night. But we'll take Bucky Irvin on the half touchdown. I think he's going to score, and I think Baker should throw 2 in this game. I mean, it is the Saints, right? A little bit of a rivalry game. But I do think Devin Neal could be a problem, but I'm not going to give him a touchdown. I think he's going to go less. And I think Taysom Hill is definitely going to be a less in this game. Pick 2 or more players, more or less on the stats. And I definitely think Olave is going to get more than 64 yards because this Buccaneers defense didn't seem like it could stop a nosebleed. But check them out. Use our promo code UNFAIR. They're going to match your first deposit at 100% up to $100. Plus, going to give you $20 just for signing up. Terms and conditions apply. See Sleeper's terms of use for details. Back to the video. Because this is probably a great way to go. Thank y'all for pulling up. Hit the like button. New to the channel. Subscribe, rate, review. Give us 5 stars. Check out Colin Kennedy over there at Sooners Illustrated. They've got a great promo going on. And a lot of write-ups about this class. CK, we got the Petit signature at the end.
Yeah.
But signing day's not over till Friday. BV mentioned something about getting a receiver. I think he was talking about Petit because he hadn't signed yet. But I know that they have been sniffing around others. You think the class is done?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think it will be 24, and then I think that sniffing around the preferred walk-on market isn't completely out of the question. But, I mean, You saw constantly that they were saying, hey, the 26 class is in. I think that was intentional. And then you saw Nagy essentially say, yeah, we've got a really good 26 group. Moving on to 27. So I personally believe that you're pretty much going to be set through February with this class. And I mean, there could be a name or two that's added, maybe more on the PWO front, like I mentioned. I mean, of the few remaining guys that are even available still in 2026, it's hard for me to put those puzzle pieces together with them in Oklahoma. So,
no, that's fair. I mean, I think the only one that I really looked at was Gross over there, and he's at Florida now, so that's a done deal. That's out. But there's not very many for us, so it feels like the portal is going to be busy for us this year in just adding additional pieces. So from that though, how you feel about the class? Ranked in the top 20, which is good, solid blue chip ratio. How you feel about the class, and what's a player that you feel like is probably going to jump and has a great shot of taking snaps as a freshman?
Man. Well, as far as playing early as true freshmen, the two that I would immediately go to would be on the offensive side. And I think it's why you saw Oklahoma push for them so heavily down the stretch. It's Jaden Petit and it's Jonathan Hatton Jr. And I think that this class is a really solid class. I have a ton of like football theory, recruiting nerd takes that I could go through because, you know, this is my world. This is my realm. But to answer the natural question, you know, it's really hard to judge a group based on who you think is going to play early because you really don't know until they actually get on a college campus and you start getting feedback on how they handle that environment.
Yep.
But I personally believe that when you look at Jaden Petit, who's 6'4", well above 200 pounds, having one of the more dominant senior seasons in the state of Florida at the receiver position, you will find. And then Jonathan Hatton Jr., whose self-report a growth of up to 6'1" and 220 pounds as a running back. Like, yeah. And it is typically easier for freshmen to play further away from the football, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's harder to do so when you're on the lines of scrimmage, or, you know, sometimes it can be really difficult for like corners to play early, even though Cortland Giller is debunking that.
Same
right?
with Eli Bowen.
We have a lot of freshman corners across college football who are debunking that theory.
They are.
I think that Hatton, his size, his speed, the running style, and the way that he is made from a mentality standpoint, and again, physically as well, he's ready to go. Petit, I think, is a real opportunity as a true freshman as well. I mean, I know the Elijah Thomas stuff got thrown around a ton, but that guy has development to get done. I think the Petit, certainly there's development there as well. His size and the skill set that he brings to the table is a little bit different, which gives him an advantage. So those would be the two. Kroll, maybe. We'll see. I think it would be pretty impressive if he's able to work through that quickly in a defensive end room that's as loaded as the one as they currently have.
Yeah, Jay Kroll is the one that I've been saying that I think has a chance of rotating as a freshman. I don't think starting.
I agree.
But rotating, absolutely. He's going to jump some folks because he's walking in 6'3", 240. You know, he's walking in already 10 pounds less than R. Mason with an additional inch in height. He's probably going to add with the work ethic based upon what we've seen. He's going to add 15 pounds of just raw strength and muscle. He may go out there and be already around almost 260 before the season starts and be ready to ball at that size. That would be ridiculous. I don't know if he will, but if he maintains his speed, his bend, his ability to get low and get under, and still with that weight, it's going to be hard to keep him off the field. So, yeah, I think rotating, yes. But I agree with you 100%. Those were my two. If I think anybody's going to walk out there and play, it's them. I love Daniel Odom. I just don't think that he's physically going to be there yet. He could shock me, but I don't think physically there. But Jonathan Hatton is, I mean, I talk about it on here, dog. He broke me, man. That's the back. That is the player I was the most excited about. I ain't been excited about a player like that, honestly, since I've been covering the team. Like, I'm excited about players. That dude turned my head immediately. And it's funny because all of his highlights is him just running past everybody.
Mm-hmm.
But you can tell that it's not because it's just him being fast or the holes are just that big. It's just he's physically imposing. Walking in 6'1", 220 is going to be absurd.
Yep.
Immediately. I mean, that's walking in like Xavier Robinson did, who walked in at 230. And looked really good when he got into the game, when he's healthy. I mean, X-Rob has given us great stuff, and of course, he's a soldier. He's going to play through his pain, but health is always a critical thing. You may get that from Hatton. But him walking in with Bllaylock as well as X-Rob, it's a three-headed monster that gets you excited.
Yeah.
Period. So, yeah, I agree with you there. I can't even argue any of that. I think underrated recruit is probably the most interesting question. Who's the one that people are probably going to sleep on a lot more than they should?
There's a number of directions that I could go here. It's very tough to single out one individual as far as like underrated.
Mm-hmm.
I will say that I am fascinated by what Tyler Ruxer can become.
Ooh.
I think that, again, as like a scouting eval nerd, when they say they were just skimming track times online and he popped up as a tight end, like, yeah.
That is the funniest thing in the world, while at the same time 100% checks out to exactly what I would expect out of them.
I'll go quickly through just a couple of names that I think aren't getting talked about a ton, that I do believe there's a lot of like fascination factor there for me. You talk about Ruxer, 6'4", 220, runs track and field, played corner in high school. Yeah, I'm good with that. How many tight ends do you know are playing corner?
That part. Fast enough to play corner. Enough to play corner. That is the most important thing.
Granted, the level of competition there, he's going to have an adjustment period. I'm not saying Tyler Ruxer tomorrow is a monster, but like he has a lot of physical tools and traits. He checks out track and field, the multi-sport background, but also two-phase ability, things like that. Dude. Dane Bathurst, son of a Navy SEAL. Mom and dad were both collegiate swimmers in the Big Ten.
Yep.
At Minnesota. And then sister
yes,
is at Virginia.
Mm-hmm.
And she won the ACC championship in like the 800 or something like that. I can't even remember. But comes from a family that all competed at the collegiate level in swimming. Father was, again, a SEAL. And then Dane Bathurst has been recruited for most of this cycle as an edge. Moving a player like that to inside linebacker, very intriguing, in my opinion. And then, again, there are so many others, and I hate just like singling out individual guys. Like I like Deacon Schmidt. I like Jasir Rogers. I think that Derek Johnson does not get enough love for his background, but I think I'm most curious to see what Daniel Norman becomes. Because he's undersized. He will have a lot of developing to do in order to become more of like a complete player. But typically at 24/7, when there's an 87 grade on a guy, it's not a blanket statement, but typically when there's an 87.3, that means that, hey, there are some high ceiling traits here. There's a floor that may be pretty deep, but there are also traits that would lead you to believe this recruit could, skyrocket. And I think that's kind of Daniel Norman in a nutshell, because at 6'4", 205, you love the hip and ankle flexibility, the ability to bend, run the hoop, get up and under an offensive lineman and scream off the edge. There is a DPR floor there, in my opinion, designated pass rusher, to where he has what it takes, if properly developed, to give you a serious problem on third down. Now, what he can become, like, from an overall standpoint, I think that's what's up for debate, right? But that's why I'm so curious in what he could be, because if he does turn out to be like a multi-sack player for them, that's a win.
Agreed. So. Yeah, I can see that. Brian Harris is one for me. I really think that he's going to be your next Grayson Halton. He has a chance to develop there even faster. Like, I think watching him play, and I love that Nagy pointed this out with the way they were doing things. They were recruiting guys that are not only physically imposing, but violent. They were wanting dudes that run through walls, run through other players to get to that ball.
Yeah.
Like, they are the tenacity behind the way that they play this game, the way that you see dudes try to take other dudes' blocks off with each shot. I see it in a lot of them. Brian Harris, as well as Christian Moore. They give me the, I would like for you to not get up from this hit vibe. Please stay on the ground, or I may have to do it again.
Jandro brothers in there as well, for sure.
Yep. And it's all respectfully, too. You can tell them they do it all in a respectful way. Could you please stay on the ground? If you get up, I'm going to have to hit you again. Please. Just natural. So, yeah, Harris intrigues me because of the way that we're doing this defensive line. Carrington, I've watched him for a while, so I know with him he needs to make sure his weight's up and continue his technique. Since he didn't get any taller, he kind of peaked height-wise pretty early in his career. I know that he was a 5-star as a freshman or sophomore or whatnot. So it's more of he's not going to go prove all the doubters wrong type deal. But like you mentioned, the Jandro brothers, I'm really intrigued at where they both end up. I know one's a linebacker, one's a safety, but at the same time, they both play at such a speed that they're going to take somebody's heads off. Simply put, this defense is not going to change from what we've been seeing this year from Kendall Daniels, Michael Boganowski, and Reggie Powers. Dudes are going to get leveled on a consistent basis with them. I just hope we do a better job of minimizing the collateral damage in practice. Because we're probably going to have to.
Yeah.
They're going to have to pull a Signetti and be like, yeah, we're not going to practice as hard on each other because I don't need people getting hurt. This is concussion written all over it. This is hit stick written all over him. Markel Ford, same thing.
Yeah.
All these defenders have your block is knocked off written all over them.
The exact verbiage that Venables used was, he'll rip your soul out for Markel Ford. So
that's a physically imposing defense. If you see that, once you start seeing the hits come through, I joked about it in the last couple of classes. Like, yeah, man, Venables getting these hitters with motor, blah, blah, blah. No, like, I'm starting to see, no, for real. Like, they're for real going after dudes that have no fear running through people. But again, to have the level of physicality you want on this defense, there will be collateral damage, and that collateral damage is your offensive players. Gonna probably need to protect them a little bit better this time around. What's your thoughts on ZZ?
I like him a lot. I like him a lot, man. There was a world where they were probably not going to sign a in-state player, and I knew that was going to be a thing. I didn't much care. That being said, I'm like, I mean, again, when you look at the physical makeup at 6'4", 200 plus pounds, you talk about the multi-sport background, being a standout hooper.
Yep.
And you look at that body type and that skill set. Like he's kind of him and Petit are like the body types that they're missing right now. They have Carry-On, but like I don't think that Carry-On is the athlete that Petit and ZZ are.
I don't think Manny Choice is either, even though Manny Choice is close. I don't think he's that caliber of athlete. He's athletic as hell.
I think Choice and Carry-On are really good football players.
Football guys. Yeah.
I think Petit and ZZ are transformers. Like, they have the physical build and some of the ability that like is God-given. That is just like you would need to like build that, and it's not something you can teach.
Yeah.
They just have like, I think the Freakazoid label has been thrown out there by Brent and I think Parker maybe, Freakazoid or like whatever you want to call them. I just feel like they do things that it's like a creative player type of thing. And look, I'll say this. For ZZ, it will probably take a little while because he's only been in the game for a couple of years. And there is going to have to be like a physical recomposition because of the style he plays and what is going to be asked of him on the perimeter. He's going to be needing to add some weight. And he's going to need to balance that with, the athletic ability and the catch radius and the vertical. But yeah, man, again, like they've got like this sci-fi movie ability to them that is just Freakazoid-ish, as people are saying. So
I see it. I see the vision with that. Like, yeah, he needs to get what he could be another quote unquote Nick Anderson type.
Yeah.
You get him around 210, maybe closer to 220, but you can put in that kind of weight, with the way Schmitty puts him to work. He could be that type of player. The healthy version of Nick. I can see it. Petit. Yeah. Watching his tape and the way he was balling in Florida, that's LSU level talent to me at wide receiver. That's one of them dudes that they've produced. Now he's got to give him the ball.
Yeah.
That's all we got to do is give him the ball. So I like Bo Bentley. I think he needs some seasoning, but I do like him a lot. I think he fits this offense a lot better than Jaden O'Neal did.
Yeah. Yeah.
They want to, Buckle wants a quarterback that's going to run often in the RPO game. He wants that to be a danger. So I got it. Bo's one of my guys. I have a lot of belief in that guy. Obviously, they did as well. They took a risk. He kind of took a risk on Oklahoma too.
and those bets kind of paid off for everybody, which is exciting. But like, I think it is very cool that when you factor in the storyline and the risk that everybody took, like Oklahoma got their guy at quarterback. He, as an OU fan, is going to go play it at Oklahoma and realize a childhood dream. And his brother's going to go play baseball at Oklahoma. Like, it just worked out. And Bo's got a lot of talent. Bo's got a lot of natural ability. He's a dude, but he's also very easy to root for. And I look forward to seeing him in Norman because, like, I believe in that guy, and I think Oklahoma did too, which is exciting to see him land in the class. And it speaks to that, like, you know, I don't think he missed a home game this year.
Nope. I heard that he was literally at every game.
Yeah. Yep.
That's dope. Tells you everything you need to know about his commitment to being a Sooner and building relationships and recruiting. Peer recruiting. Peer recruiting is critical. And he showed you the leadership with that. So I'm pretty excited to see how that works out. So,
yeah.
We'll see. All right. Well, that's Colin Kennedy, Sooners Illustrated, 247 Sports. Tell them about the promo. What we got?
50% off right now, half off. Get it for a full year at Sooners Illustrated. Hop aboard. It's a great time to do so with them turning the page to 27 and the push towards the playoff. Getting Diamond Sports going, and the hoops teams are having a lot of success. So hop aboard, man. It's a great place to be. You know, I think our board is a lot of fun, and it's very supportive place, and it's been a lot of fun to be around with this push towards the playoff and all the recruiting success as well. So half off, come join us, and then, you know, make sure you're liking and subscribing and sharing this video and keeping supporting the channel here at Unfair. Because
we're here past 20,000, actually by 20,500. It's been blowing up this last few days. As soon as we hit 20,000, the floodgates continue to open. But at the same time, it is recruiting, signing week, season. Transfer portal is about to explode here in December and January as people start to enter, and then you're going to start hearing about the people going to places because since coaching changes are moving around, you got to get on Sooners Illustrated, as CK and the squad there will have all of the insights on all of those details. And of course, you know, I'll be a part of that. So thank all of y'all for pulling up. Hit the like button. If you're new to the channel, subscribe, rate, review, give us 5 stars. We'll be back. We'll find out about the playoffs right after, on Sunday. We'll have the selection show. We'll know exactly what's going to happen. So far, Oklahoma should be in. There should be no reason why they won't be in. And we'll figure out who we're going to play, and then we'll talk about that too. Because that's going to be, man, us being this excited about December, it feels good to have that back.
I'm very tired. I don't know if you can tell. I'm very tired, and it's only going to get busier, but
like you said, you get to put your feet up this weekend and actually relax because the recruiting part is done. Y'all have the next set of the ratings for the 27s coming up, but you still get to chill at least for 2 weeks before that next game comes.
You know, Oklahoma may be getting more good news this weekend, so there is that. But yes, I will be watching some high school football, watch some college football, and I mean, hey man, once Sunday hits, like, it's on. So I'm curious to see what happens.
Yeah, all right. Well, we'll be tuned in. Make sure y'all go tune in. We'll chop it up next couple of days. Peace.